Welcome all to another session on Module 3 Interprocess Communication, that is Multicast Communication. Myself Sridevi, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. Basically, IP supports these many different messaging services. The first one is unicast transmission. From the figure, there is a single source and there is a single receiver. That's why it's in the name, one-to-one communication. Then we have a broadcast transmission where there is a single sender and the receivers will be the rest of the systems in that particular network. Whereas in a multicast transmission, it is a more restricted version of broadcasting. Here also multiple receivers will be there, but there is a condition that these receivers should belong to a particular group. So whoever is members of that group will be receiving messages in a multicasting. There are various characteristics for multicast communication. We can have fault tolerance based on replicated services. For example, the client requests are multicasted to a group of servers. So even if some of the member servers are failing, the clients can still be served. Another one is you can find discovery servers in spontaneous networking. Will be used by the servers and clients to locate such discovery services. Another one is better performance through replicated data. Data can be replicated to increase the performance of a service. And these data can be updated using multicast way of communication in all the replicas in the same way. And then we can propagate the event notifications to the desired groups using multicast way of communication. In an IP multicast, there's a term called multicast group. So this multicast groups are a set of receivers which can be processors or objects, and such groups are called the multicast group. And that group is identified by an address called multicast addressing. And in the class D IP addressing scheme, the multicast addressing are in the range 224 to 238.255.255.255. That is the class D internet address. Another important feature is the membership of a multicast group is dynamic. A system can join the group or leave the group at any time. And since TCP supports only the unicast mode, in the application programming level, IP multicast can be made available only using UDP. So if you have multicasting on the internet, on the right hand side, the multicast receivers are the host that have joined that particular multicast group. So when the multicast sender is sending to that group, everyone in the group will be receiving that message. And there are multicast routers in between. And what is the number of routers a particular message which is multicasted can visit is restricted by a term called time to leave. And this time to leave will be part of your IP datagrams, and that will be deciding how far your sending host can send a message, how many routers or it can forward. The default TTL, if you haven't specified anything, will be 1. That means that particular message can only to go only to the other host in the local network. It can't go beyond that local network. Local multicast use the multicast capability of the local network. And multicast in the internet is making use of the multicast routers. So these are the various field of TTL value and their effect on the multicasting. If it is 0, it is restricted to the same host. If it is 1, it is in the same subnet. 32, same site. 64, the same region. 128, the same continent. And if you keep TTL value as 255, your message does not have any restriction on how far it can travel in the network. Wherever the network can take it, it can travel. Address allocation, as we discussed in the previous slides, we can have it. There are permanent and temporary multicast addressing scheme. It is 224 to 224 244.0.0.1 to 244.0.0.255. It is assigned to permanent multicast addresses. That means it's reserved for the use of routing protocols. And a temporary multicast group requires a free multicast address to avoid accidental participation in an existing group before use and cease after the use. So there is a multicast address allocation server, MAS. The function of that server is the client server solution is adopted and the client requests a multicast address from the MAS. So this MAS will be checking the availability of that particular address, and if it is available at that moment, that address will be given to the client. And that will be communicated across the domains to ensure the allocations are unique for a given lifetime and scope. Next, we will see the failure models of the multicast datagrams, which all ways your multicasting datagrams can face failure. Since TCP does not support multicasting, the multicasting is relying upon the UDP underlying transport protocol. So all the failure characteristics which UDP faces, multicasting also has to or having the same failure characteristics as UDP. It is having all omission failures, unreliability, etc. So the various situations in which a multicasting can have a omission failure is a recipient can drop a message because its buffer is full. Then that recipient, which is one of the members of that group in a multicast communication, can drop that message due to its full buffer size. Another one is a process failure. As we discussed, if it is through the internet that we are doing the multicasting, there can be routers in between, and if one of the intermediary router fails, then the group members beyond that router won't receive that message. Then we have ordering issue, that is the packet should arrive in a sender order. That means the same order in which the sender has sent it, the receiver has to receive that in the same order. And its effect on reliability and ordering is fault tolerance, we have seen, and based on the replicated services are there. But the problem is in replicated service, multicast requires that either all or none should receive the request to perform an operation to remain consistent. So whenever you take that replicated services advantage of multicasting, you should also see the chance of failures when some of the servers are getting updates and not all. Then finding the discovery servers in spontaneous networking, and occasional lost request is not an issue, but when it is very frequent, then it's a problem for locating a discovery server. Then better performance through replicated data. The effect of lost messages and inconsistent ordering is depending on the method of replication. Then we have the propagation of event notification. The particular application will determine the qualities which is required for that multicast. And so these are some of the examples which suggest that some applications require a more reliable multicast. Like any message transmitted is either received by all the members of the group or none of them. That will make it as a reliable multicasting. Then we can have a totally ordered multicast. That means sender order will be equal to receiver order. So we have seen the failure model of multicast datagrams. Now we'll see the programming aspect using Java programming. How can we program a multicasting? So in a programming aspect, if two entities have to communicate, they are communicating through a socket. And if you need to have a multicast way of communication, you need to have a multicast socket. And once this socket has joined a particular group, it can join the group or leave the group using the various interfaces given by the Java API. And we can also set the time to leave field by using set time to leave. We can give it to any values which we have seen in the previous slides. As we increase the value of time to leave, the distance that message will cover will also increase. And we can see the diagram where the multicast peer program is given, which will specify the message and the multicast address in the arguments to the main method. So this is the program. All this interprocess communication related classes are inside a package called java.net.star. So I'm creating a Java class with the name multicast pair, a meaningful name in order to implement a multicast communication among the peer groups. So in the main method, when I'm running this program multicast pair, I'll be giving two arguments here. That arguments can be accessed in this Java program using args0 and args1. So the first argument which I am giving when I run this program using the command java space multicast pair followed by the first parameter will be captured by args0 and the next argument will be captured by args1. So the args0, that is the message what you need to send, and args1 is the group name. We can give the group name, and there is a built-in method called getByName, which is part of init address, to convert that group name into group internet address. Like you can see, like example 228.5.6.7, such type of internet address it can be converted to. So that part is ready. Now we are creating a new socket which is of type, what type of socket I am creating? I am creating a socket of type multicast socket, and I am creating an object of that. So whenever I am creating a socket, the socket is actually a virtual concept which is a combination of IP address and port address. So IP address will be the IP address of system where we are defining this socket, and we are also hard coding the socket ID, so the port ID here. This port ID can be related to a particular service. So the socket is ready under the name S. Once a multicast socket is ready, it is having various interfaces to make the group membership dynamic by making use of join group. S.join group, within bracket you will be writing group. And what is group? It is the converted group internet address. We'll also convert the message what we have given in the first argument to bytes in order to send it to the communication channel. Then we are sending the packet. We are creating a new datagram packet by giving these many parameters. The first one is the bytes, the set of bytes which represents the original message, then the length of that message, then the group address, then the port. So this port will be the port ID of your destination system. It will be reaching, it will be giving you the destination address. So we'll be sending that from the multicast socket s.send. We'll be passing this message out, which is of type datagram packet. Just like we are sending the message to a group, we can receive also from the group. Here, in order to receive, we need to make a byte array ready. Here, a byte array has been created with a maximum size of 1000, and we have made provision to receive 3 messages. In this loop, we are creating datagram packet again, and the parameters what you have given is the buffer, then the buffer dot length. Then we have started to receive it using the same socket which we created, s dot receive. And what we are receiving the message to this message in, which is of type datagram packet. So whatever is coming in the form of bytes, that will be stored in buffer, and the length that will be stored in this buffer dot length. So we will be printing we have received it, and all the exceptions will be catched using this try catch option. And finally we will be clearing it off. All the socket connections, everything will be closed. Thank you.